Welcome to TBWAU. This is where we come together as a collective to learn, to grow, and to stretch ourselves in how we show up for ourselves, for our teams, and for our ideas. Today's session couldn't have come at a better time. This is The Power of Empathy, a two-part experience designed to meet us exactly where we are, which is in the middle of pressure, of pace, and of constant change. The reality is, many of us are doing our best to hold it together at work, in life, and everywhere in between. The deadlines are real, the pressure is real, the tension is real, but so is the opportunity. Because when things feel messy or uncertain, emotional clarity is not a nice to have. It is an essential. And that's what today is about. Today, we will be learning to tune into ourselves, to recognize what we're feeling, and to use that awareness as a tool for deeper connection, stronger collaboration, and more grounded leadership. To guide us through that journey, we have Michael Tennant. Michael is the founder and CEO of Curiosity Lab, which is a creative studio and consultancy on a mission to make empathy easy to learn, to teach, and to apply to life. He's also the creator of a conversation card game called Actually Curious and the author of the best-selling book called The Power of Empathy. And today he's here with us to help us build the emotional skills so that we can lead, create, and connect with more intention. Before we begin, I want to remind you of our 3 house rules. House rule number 1, please be present. This hour is just for you. So close the tabs, silence the notifications, and make this time count. House rule number 2, please engage. We'd love for you to turn your cameras on and to use the chat to share your thoughts and to ask questions. And if you'd like to speak, please use the hand raise function. House rule number 3, please leave quietly. If you need to exit early, we do understand. We ask that you do so without announcing it in the chat. Okay, so we're about to begin, but before we do, I want to ask a question of all of you. The question I want to ask is, what gets in the way of real feelings, of like making space for real feelings at work? I have a poll question. It's going to pop up on your chat and on your screen. Please take a few seconds to respond. So the question is, what gets in the way of making space for real feelings at work? Okay, if you have not taken a moment to respond, please do so. Okay. Few more people. Also, the poll is anonymous. We cannot see what you select, so you can choose honestly. No one will know what you selected. Okay. So it's always fascinating to see where the collective stands. I see about 50% of you say that you have a fear of being misunderstood. We are all in different places. I can see that some are stuck in the performance mode, others feel safe, and others feel like, their office culture doesn't have room for anything beyond outputs. But no matter where you are, that's exactly why the session matters. So now that we know where we stand, I'm going to hand over to Michael, and he's going to lead us with the session today. Oh, we can't hear you, Michael. I think you might be muted. Nope.
Probably is the microphone that is not setting the right one.
No. Maybe, okay, because we can't hear you. Yeah. Trust technology. I was having a conversation with Michael just before we jumped in, but trust teams. I'm sure he'll be back any moment now.
I heard him for a second,
Yeah, his
and
mic
then
was working.
disappeared.
Yeah, same here. I hear him for a second.
Oh.
Maybe you can continue with the Disney question, Silandele.
Yes. I have a question, just a conversation starter while we wait for Michael to come back. Please feel free to turn on your mic and respond. My question is, I'm gonna pick on Eva, or actually Graham, because your mic is on already. Do you have a favorite Disney character?
Hi. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
My mic wasn't supposed to be on, damn it. So are we concluding Star Wars in all of this? Or do we have to go sort of traditional Disney?
Whichever, it's your choice, your favorite.
Let me go with she's like the OG, I think, Mickey Mouse.
Nice.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello,
Hello.
Michael. We
Can you hear me okay now?
Perfect.
Yes.
That's so very strange. Isn't it funny? You test and somehow technology still comes and gets in the way. So apologies for that. Yeah, let's dive in. So I really love the way you open this workshop. Really connecting. It takes maybe the need for an icebreaker moment. I was contemplating whether or not maybe that's why the tech failed. I wanted to give me more time to consider, but just to kind of help ground back into this after the tech, I would love to open this icebreaker moment to maybe a couple people who want to share. Definitely feel free to use the chat to share as well. But since we're calling in from all over the world, different people have joined at different times. Share your name and pronouns, share where you are and what you do. And then your answer to this Halloween themed icebreaker question: what was your favorite candy from childhood and would you still eat it today? And I'll lead us off and share Michael, he, him. I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida presently, and I wear many hats. I guess today I'm an instructor. I'm an author. I'm a dad. I'm a former strategist. My favorite candy as a kid was I ate a lot of candy as a kid, but it was a candy called Now and Laters, which is a little bit I don't see it everywhere. I don't know. Definitely show me some love if you are a Now and Laters fan too, or have heard of it. But yeah, I'd love to see what we have in the chat. We got Tyson from Milwaukee and Kit Kats. Would eat them. Yeah, I would also eat the Now and Laters when I find them. It's cherry. If I see cherry or sour apple, I'll grab those. Carly from Wisconsin, Butterfingers used to be her go-to. Now Rolos, broke teeth. It's funny. Amazing. We'll love to keep seeing those come in on the chat as I make up a little bit of time and dive us in. So, um, I love getting to speak to groups like you all. It helps to really bridge many of my lives. Um, I started my career 15 years in media at Vice and 7 years at media and at Vice and MTV. And then I moved over to advertising and was a part of the Omnicom family. I left advertising as the head of branded content at PhD Media. Um, but I left that world and, almost everything that I've done has been through feel. I didn't know it then. I didn't know it as I was rising up the ranks in advertising or in media. But it started to become clear. I left the world of advertising in 2017 and founded Curiosity Lab. Part of it was wanting to have a little bit more control over directing my purpose. Another part of it was actually navigating the combination of some tragedy in my family. I had a brother that was hospitalized, and just like needing to wanting to create more, I guess, control over my schedule. But during that jaunt, we landed ourselves in 2018, where it was a time where we felt was the most divided time that we've ever felt in the country, in the United States, and what we were seeing in the world. Uh, dare I say it? That's what we thought then in 2018. And we wanted to do something about it. So again, through feel, but starting to add some tools to it. We got together as a team and we assessed our values together. And through the lens of our values, we decided to try to take on that divisiveness that we were seeing in the country. And we ended up creating our conversation game, Actually Curious, which we're going to dive into a deck. This is the original game. It has 4 levels in it, and it's based on the science of trust building. So, at that point, we didn't know that we were going to get as deep into consumer products as we would end up down the line. We just wanted to create a tool to help people bridge gaps. And turns out that that tool would be really impactful in my life as well as in many lives. Now, almost, I think we'll cross the 100,000 units distributed mark this holiday. So in 2019, that riff that I told you all about, it deepened in my personal life. I ended up losing my older brother in 2019. I ended up losing my older brother, and that loss exposed some serious gaps in my coping skills and my emotional regulation skills, even in my will to survive, to be honest. And so the things that I had done to dabble in therapy and in men's work and in mindfulness, and even just having a holistic view of what it meant like to live well and to pursue my happiness, because so much of my happiness was tied to my love with my favorite older brother. That all of that came together to save me, and it would be important because that summer I was navigating now this disruption that when I took bereavement leave from being a CMO at a nonprofit to then arriving at another tragic moment where I ended up actually losing another older brother. Yeah, that was a really tough moment. And at the time, all the work that I did and the work that I'm going to introduce you to, I started to cling to it. I really was present to the emotions that I was feeling. But even that approach that we were using as a brand, I started to use my values as a way to decide how to move forward, what to do with the anger, what to do with the fear. And I ended up using all of that emotional energy to invest it in my entrepreneurial journey and in bringing language, bringing process to the healing that I would be continuing on, but that I experienced that summer and would need to, at that point, actually turn my lens a bit outward. How could I use the healing that I experienced that summer and share it with my nieces and nephews? I had, at this point now, 8 nieces and nephews who had lost their dad, and now would always have a trauma in their lives to navigate. In 2020, all of that work, I started to write it down, and it became what would be called the 5 phases of empathy. So let me kind of just catch you up. So essentially, that summer, I began using play to experiment with what it would look like to teach people how to listen to their emotions, be present with them, and to use them, similarly to what I did with my healing. And even a moment that summer where we were putting out thought leadership about empathy and play and actually curious, and it caught the attention of someone. It was like a miracle. It caught the attention of Beyonce, the very first person to promote our conversation game before this movement took off was Beyonce, and it came from her stylist, one of her stylists, one of her many, I'm sure, seeing Actually Curious, seeing the mission behind it, and putting it on the Black Parade list that she created, which was a list of Black businesses that Beyonce would put her stamp behind. And shortly after that moment, and there was a New York Times article, and the Today Show got wind of it, and basically our lives changed. My partner and I, within 3 months, we went from struggling and trying to figure out how to survive in the pandemic to having a couple $100,000 to invest in continuing to propel this movement of empathy. And when we turned into 2021, I realized how important values was to us getting invited to places like the Robin Hood Foundation and NASA, just all of a sudden becoming a thought leader in empathy without even trying. And values was such a big part of it that even feeling the guilt around now having a platform because of the loss of lives, because of the death of George Floyd that summer, I decided to pay it forward. So we took a couple $1,000s and we built the valuesexercise.com. And it's a tool that you can use individually, you can use with your teams, just like the early Curiosity Lab teams found our 5 values and we ended up creating Actually Curious. We created this tool to make sure that anyone could find their values in 20 minutes. We went from feeling shame around this access to paying it forward with this tool. I mentioned during that summer, I started to write down that healing journey. And, soon after I'd get the opportunity to speak about it, and these reps, I was getting reps to codifying what it is that happened. And it became what's called the 5 phases of empathy. I actually got invited into Arnold, an advertising firm based in Boston. And they let me spend 9 months with them unpacking how this work would support teams. And so the 5 phases of empathy, which are the language of feelings, the importance of intention, channeling purpose, which is really going from values to choice, from empathy to impact, how the work of feeling, the work of living our values, the work of just really going from feeling to intentional choices around our thoughts, words, and actions, how that lives in community. And then finally, what needs to happen inside of us, what narratives needs to change for us to see and live and create the abundance that we can imagine. Continuing with the theme of feel, in the summer of 2021, as I was teaching the 5 phases of empathy, I was in a room facilitating, and I gave a lot more than I got back. And I had to spend a week, for those who hold space for loved ones or who facilitate. Sometimes it can have a physical and an emotional toll. And I spent the next week getting body work to try to take care of the knots that were in my shoulder, just trying to reconcile what it felt like to give so much and not get much back. And during that process, feeling that anger, that commitment to the work, I ended up writing the outline for what would become the power of empathy. I decided that this work was too important to have the energy feel wasted on even just one room. And so how to scale this. And I came up with the outline for this book. So at each turn, from hardship to fatigue to anger to apathy, to each turn, I've been able to really be deeply present with the emotions and turn it into output that is in alignment with my values. And that's what the 5 phases of empathy is about. So this summer, we've lived, my view is a bit US centric, and I think it's been loud what US has been working through, but there's been quite a bit of disruption. Empathy, which oftentimes gets grouped alongside DEI, has had to find new ways to be relevant to all audiences, even the ones who don't understand the importance of creating safe space for diverse groups, global groups to come together and to bring their full selves as quickly as possible to the work. So we started to really experiment with actually looking at each time we've had to pivot, each time we've had to turn hardship, either personally or professionally, into a new way of moving forward, not a reason to stop, but rather a new way to open doors, open eyes that propel our purpose, because at its core, it's remained the same: community, connection, and empathy in all settings. So these days, we talk a lot about empathy and innovation. And at the end of this workshop, I will share with you all a link to actually a downloadable that we created so that individuals or teams can take the 5 phases of empathy. People who have maybe read the book or heard me speak on the 5 phases can actually use it strategically, can use empathy strategically, individually and collectively, towards strategic and tactical outputs. And so what that looks like is attuning. And we're gonna spend our time with phase 1 today. Strengthening is the baseline. It's actually the hardest thing to conceptualize, so I like to work with people on it. So that's where we're going to spend our time. But there are a lot of artifacts out in the world where you can continue with the 5 phases if you'd like. And I'll leave you with empathy and innovation. But to attune, especially in a team setting, is to use empathy to check in and to surface perspectives. There's a lot of power, energy, inspiration, especially as creative people or creative strategists, creative problem solvers, in the emotional quality. But the problem is sometimes the most challenging of the emotions are hard to see and definitely hard to speak to. So phase 1's about attuning, being able to bring those emotions in and to surface the perspectives that it allows us to see. Phase 2 is about values alignment. How do we use our shared values, or even sometimes our difference in values, but how do we use our shared values to define our objective, to bring focus, to bring a shared lexicon, a shared rubric to us taking different perspectives and bringing them in one direction. Phase 3, time and energy audit, is about how we use our emotional awareness, our newfound ability to feel and speak to what's hard, but also a logical way of processing it through the same values. How do we use that to make hard decisions about how we map our energy, our commitments? Phase 4, our ecosystem audit. We can't just stop at, we don't work in a vacuum. Our teams don't work in a vacuum. Let's be really thoughtful about how do we bring this same level of prioritization out in a thoughtful way to all of the touch points that surround us. And phase 5, as we all know, it's great to dream, right? How many people sometimes, you get that elated energy when you have a strategy session, but almost like a heavy energy when it comes down to how do you implement it? How do you make those trade-offs? So phase 5 is let's make those hard choices here together. Let's look at what is real and perhaps perceived scarcity, and let's find the unlikely solution here together for how we can get from point A to Z. So something to think about. You'll get a download if you stay for the end and grab the QR code of how you can unpack this concept deeper. But for today, we'll spend some time with tuning. So the language of feelings is a opportunity for us all to have a shared lexicon around empathy and to gain a really, really powerful tool for emotional awareness in ourselves, but also in groups. The knowledge I want you all to know that you can find in our book, it unpacks it, The Power of Empathy. But let's start with the 3 types of empathy. So the first, cognitive, the mind, it's how we relate in an intellectual way to our emotions. But the big shortcut I want you all to have will be on the next slide, but is the 5 core emotions. I'd love for you all to write this down so that you have it. And if you don't have a journaling pad or a writing tool, you're going to need it in a moment. So grab one. I think it's better to write by hand, but if you prefer to type, that's up to you too. But one of the first things to level up your cognitive understanding of emotions is having ease of use, ease of recall of the 5 core emotions. There are thousands of emotions, and that gets tricky if you're trying to remember all of them. So they all actually ladder to these 5 core root emotions. So if you have these at your ease of recall, you're going to have a powerful tool for assessing what emotion is showing up in you, in a group, in a piece of creative, in an idea, in something unspoken. The second is somatic empathy, the body, or emotional empathy. And that's what we're going to practice here today, because it's the thing that some of us have more ease of access to our somatic empathy just naturally. Maybe we don't have words for it yet, but we all have the skill. We all actually feel our emotions in our bodies before we make a cognitive connection to what emotion it is that we're feeling. So in other words, before we can say we feel fear or we feel joy, we'll usually feel some sort of sensation or some sort of physiological shift in our bodies. And what we're going to practice today is attuning to that a bit more. And finally, 3, effective empathy is the combination of it all, and having confidence around using that knowledge. Some of the natural leaders that we know, we can remember, the teachers that seem to have like eyes behind their heads and different awareness and just a breadth of space to be able to share for the various personalities that we have. Well, those folks are bringing about effective empathy, perhaps naturally, perhaps they've cultivated it. But what we will argue is that by strengthening your somatic awareness, you'll actually strengthen the whole body of it all, and feel more confident being able to attune to what's unspoken in the room, what's unspoken within our loved ones, or even the ability to convey the emotion that we know is necessary to get where we need to go. And in times of change, in times of the unexpected, in times of wading our way through things that we haven't experienced before, this really comes in and helps. All right, so last chance to write these down. Actually, there'll probably be other chances to write it down, but grab that: joy, fear, anger, shame, and sadness. And yeah, one day, it was actually the very first large group that I got to facilitate, as I was following the feeling that there was something more to just this game. And there was something more than just my brothers losing their lives or all of us going through that suffering. I had an opportunity to speak. I handed out individual versions, like everyone grabbed a card. The room had, I'd say the age range was like 7 to maybe 75. And I learned that as people went around answering these questions. This is and this is what we're going to use. We're going to use the happy hour edition, one of the 5 decks. This deck, the thesis, the brief, the creative brief for this deck were questions that explore what makes us happy. So it's a really lovely journaling tool for mindfulness. But it was something weird happened where all these questions that were supposed to bring about happiness, some people started crying, or some people were smiling hearing the question read, but the person who was reading it was having a hard time with it. And I learned we react different to different situations, and it gave birth to this facilitation style. So I'd like you all to start kind of checking in with yourself, like get a grounded seat, maybe get your back on the chair, just whatever is necessary for you to just notice what's even present in your body right now. Like right now, I can feel a little tightness in my shoulders. You can take a deep breath. And the way the exercise will work is I'll read a question out loud, and I'll model one time for you all. I'll read a question out loud. And instead of just jumping to the story of answering the question, I want you to really break it down into 3 steps. So see if you can notice when you hear the question, if you can notice any physical sensations. It may look like tightness in the chest. Maybe you have that now, and you can breathe into that. Or it may look like going blank immediately before an idea comes. Or it may look like wanting to slouch your body. Just whatever shows up. Sometimes tingling or heat. So write that down first. Just isolate to the physical sensation. Next, try to connect them to the 5 core emotions of joy, fear, anger, shame, and sadness. Like for me, I know that when I feel heat in my body, it's often a signal of joy or a signal of anger. Or when I feel tightness in my chest before I'm about to speak, it can often be a signal of fear. So there's no right or wrong answer, just do your best. It might be multiple emotions. And then finally, I would love to have at least 2 volunteers share what showed up. All right. So I'll model it really quickly, and then you all just focus on you. So I'm just going to pull one of these questions at random. If you could spend the rest of your life learning about one topic, what would it be? And I immediately noticed a little bit of actually just like sensation behind my eyes and nose, like a sadness. And I noticed a smile on my face too. I noticed my eyes are closed. That was a rapid fire. I do this a lot. The feeling behind my nose was a bit of sadness because sometimes I do think longingly about things I would have liked to have invested in learning. The smile on my face was just kind of just joy, kind of playfulness about being observed. And then I don't remember. Oh, my eyes closed. Just it's a little embarrassing, this act, and to do it quickly. All right. Cool. So I'm going to turn it over to you all. And so I'm going to read a question at random. I'm going to pull it at random. I'm just going to, and then I want you to write down the sensations that show up, isolate to that as though you were doing a really focused exercise, then move into labeling as best you can the physical sensations, and then write a line or 2 about the answer or why that is. And so take a deep breath to check in with what's present now. And the question is, what do you love most about yourself? Starting with the physical sensations first. What do you love most about yourself? Yeah. And then sometimes I like to list it out and then draw a line and say, this was that emotion or that was that emotion. The emotions They're in the middle there, joy, fear, anger, shame, or sadness. See if you can draw a line between the physical sensation and one of the 5 core emotions. All right, and show with a raised hand. Anyone want to? I would love to get, before we move to the next question. So this is how we'll make sure it moves on. I would love to get at least 2 people. So use the hand raise tool, or you can just come off mute to share what showed up for you, the physical, the emotional, and some context for us. All right, yow. Did I get that right? I was trying to. That's what I
Almost
say
there.
when a car is running past me. So
Exactly. But you can call me John, no worries. It's like
sure.
a
Thank you, buddy.
English translation for João.
Julo.
Uh, yeah. I would say that's a difficult question about me because first of all, I have like a feeling in my chest, like he's tight, but I think that's because of my week. It's a tough moment to me, but I can see that like feel like a fear or shame to talk in another language. I don't know, probably that, but I can see it. I can feel like I smile because I really love talk about myself and stuff like that. So it's like a joy to me. And let me see the part
Well
it's
done.
like
Well done.
it's a part of my body. Is that right? Or
Oh, well, what I heard you say is you felt some sensation in your chest, in terms of like it was relating language, etc., but maybe fear and shame. Does that sound right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But my question was about the tests
The
in the
question, what do you
text.
love most about yourself?
Oh, I love most. So rephrasing myself, uh, I really love myself and everything about me. So it's like joy, happiness to talk about myself as well.
Nice.
So I would say my hair is something that I really love. Uh, well, I don't remember 2 or 3 years ago, I have like a long hair almost in the middle of my legs. So that's something really
Yeah.
big, and now I changed everything. I knew me just to feel how it was, how it is now, to feeling a
Nice.
new person in the same person. So that's it.
Nice. Nice. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna give a try in the name, and I would love a correction, but Tafadzwa?
That was actually pretty good. It is Tafadzwa.
Awesome, thank you.
Cool. I took notes.
Yeah,
Oof, I have the feelings now. But first I
thanks.
could feel, and it's not like a heart racing kind of feeling because I can't really feel that, but it's like your heart saying something funny. And then my face felt kind of tingly. And then like my shoulders felt kind of like really solid, and my stomach also felt like it was moving. So it's just like a lot of like tingles, funny feeling below the heart, kind of like there's an empty space. Um, and then everything's like bouncing around. And I think all of that came from this incredible fear, like the little thing. I was like hot, and I was like, oh, I have to come up with the most phenomenal answer, and it has to sound great, and everyone's going to hear it. And all of that kind of like anxiety was just me sitting here like write down the right answer. And I feel like that was just everything I felt, just this fear, this fear. And
Yeah,
I think a big part of that is that I wanted to have like this wonderful answer. And then it started turning to like
yeah,
even more fear, maybe a bit of like, say, like a tinge of sadness, disappointment, because I was like, I don't actually have an answer. And then the whole feeling was like, oh, that's why it hasn't gone away. Like I feel sick. And I wanted to
yeah,
get like an answer that didn't deal with like what I could do for other people, like a non-capitalist
yeah,
answer or whatever. And then I ended up thinking like, okay, cool, like all of this aside, because like the question wasn't like very specific, what did you want from me? I would say it was maybe like my good thoughts and ideas. I think when I have a good thought or a good idea, it's brilliant. But when I have a bad thought, I'm sitting here and I'm like, what is the right answer? What did you want me to share? Was it what I can do? Was it what's inherent about me? Is it my personality, like my people? Then those are bad thoughts and they're not very helpful. But when I have a good thought and a good idea, I think those are wonderful and no one else has those. Yeah. Also, I'm quite spontaneous, so that too. But now I feel the smile now is I feel a bit better. I feel like I said something and you don't look too like, oh God, that was terrible. So I feel a bit better now. I'm feeling relief, which I would say is a bit of joy.
Nice. Wonderful. Well done, y'all. Oh man, I love playing these games with creative people. And I think that that was a wonderful journey to witness. It's funny how it almost came full circle for you, where almost like just the frustration with not having the idea that you would want to put out into the world readily. A lot of interesting little micro moments, I feel. So definitely, so you're getting the idea, y'all. So let's see if we can get some more practice in. And I guess what I would love to share, just to land this context, what we're doing, we're using a game to play. We're using thoughtfully written prompts. Maybe if you just didn't have to slow down and check in, and you just had to speak, you would have had a totally different reaction to that word as well. But what we're doing is we're getting more nuanced attention to how our emotion, how we react. And I think even hearing the initial share about the chess, like imagine what happens when we witness someone kind of with their arms crossed now, or maybe touching their heart. It's going to mean something different to us after spending time with a practice like this. All right, great. Let's move into another prompt. So the next prompt, settle in, clear, see what's present now so you can notice a shift. And I usually do that what do you love most about question later, because it's a sweet question, but it's hard. I shouldn't have jumped in there. Maybe I should have sequenced this. All right. Your next question. It wouldn't be roulette otherwise. I know I finally made it when blank. I know I finally made it when blank. Starting with the physical sensations first. Don't cheat. And to y'all in the chat, I see these. The chat is an awesome place to use this as well. Definitely, and to be seen in your share if you don't want to share it verbally. I'll know I finally made it when blank. What physical sensations show up? And then see about connecting the physical sensations to one of the 5 core emotions: joy, fear, anger, shame, sadness. I saw that hand come up. There's a hand. It went away.
It was me. It was me.
Okay.
No, I
Alright.
realized that you actually didn't call for anybody to speak. So I'm like,
Yeah, go
oh,
ahead. I
maybe
would
you
love
don't
it.
want me
Thank
to
you.
speak.
Lead us in.
So-
Lead us in. People can
but-
continue kind of finishing up their notes, and would love to. We get a lot of learning hearing how different people react. So let's hear
Yeah,
it.
I was quite surprised by my reaction. I think that's why I wanted to chat about it. But first, you need to pronounce my name, as you did so
Please.
brilliantly the other guys.
Oh, I need to. Okay.
Now I'm just
I was
teasing.
like,
I won't do that to
I
you.
kind of willfully got lost in the accent. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna go with Xanthi.
Oh, that's so impressive. Well done. Well done. Yes, that's very
Thank
good,
you.
Xanthi. That's it. Okay, cool. So sensation, I was actually, like I said, I was actually quite surprised because my shoulders dropped. My
Oh,
shoulders dropped forward, and I'm like, oh, like what I felt was just pressure. Like the emotion for me behind it was just pressure, exhaustion, just instant like almost overwhelmed almost, if you will, because it's like, because I think, and then when I try and like put context behind it, I'm 45 at the moment, so I feel like I'm running out of time. I think
Yeah.
that's the context for me behind. I'm running out of time to, in brackets, make it, and
Yeah.
like, never mind what does that look like for me, but how do I even know when I've gotten there? I don't know. It's like,
Yeah.
because I like to be open and tell myself there's no end. It's just a journey. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
when you've made it, what does that look like? What does that even mean? Because it could be anything. So I think I felt pressure there, and quite overwhelmed at the thought of
Yeah.
how far I still have to go, but to
Yeah.
what I don't know. Yeah.
And just humor me. What emotion of the 5?
Of those there's specific 5.
Yeah.
Um, I don't, I don't want to say fear because I know how my fear feels, and it wasn't that.
Yeah.
Like, I do quite a bit of practicing exercises, so I know my fear sits in my gut, and I definitely didn't feel it there.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit of sadness, I think.
Yeah.
Shame, a little bit of shame, maybe because I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
Again, where's there? Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that
Thank
was
you.
it. Cool.
Thank you. I love the love you're getting in the chat.
I'll go look now.
Yeah, it's same here. So first of all, you weren't alone. And honestly, as soon as you said that, I felt like this tightness behind my shoulders. But then it seems like Luis took it where I think where the question was intended. The journey is the destination. It's just like a kind of like an opening opportunity to abundance of the abundances that we have right now. But then also just like the realness, just like witnessing that genuine expression, that vulnerability, that willingness to be here out. Many people are off the chat, and that's just like a profound connection to you sharing that moment. Some of the power here
Awesome.
of being willing to go there in the spectrum and show the human realness. I would love to get at least one more volunteer. Or at least a few more in the chat, and we can move into. Anyone want to do this real time like I did? Do we get a hand raise to do it just real time, hear it and voice what you feel the second you hear it, and then connect it to emotions? Salandio, you want to try it?
Okay, if no one else wants the opportunity, then I will take it.
If no one else wants it, then
If someone else wants it, it's theirs.
To do it in real time? You don't
Yeah.
have to. We could do one more journal. All right, maybe let's try. There are a couple of volunteers. Let's do it as a journaling exercise, and let's try to externalize this a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna read the question, and I want you to see what you feel and think of a moment where you witnessed that feeling. So you'll hear the question, you see what you feel, and think of a moment either interpersonally, or maybe it was in music, or maybe it was in a show where you felt that same feeling, or you witnessed that feeling in another. Just as a creative exercise, all right? All right, so let's see. So this will be our last one. And the question is, if someone gives you $100 and tells you to treat yourself, what do you do? If someone gives you $100 and tells you to treat yourself, what sensation shows up? It's a little tricky, but just being playful. Someone gives you $100 and tells you to treat yourself. What do you do? And connect it to one of the 5 emotions. I have one. Okay, Luis, I'll let you lead. I think I'll try to remember mine.
Hi everyone. So I don't know why, but I felt my shoulders again,
Yeah.
and immediately I thought about Muscle Maker Grill because I've been on a workout journey since May 6th, and I guess my Muscle Maker Grill makes your shoulders grow if you're, doing shoulder work, maybe, I don't know. But I was also gonna say Chipotle, but that's just more gains, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh man. So I love that interpretation. And sometimes like, they say sometimes you power pose before you give a talk. Sometimes even the thing I'm imagining doing, I can feel it because you can almost like feel it acting on you ahead of time. So anyway, that's just maybe one thing I was thinking in terms of what you shared.
Thank you.
When I took that weird version of this prompt, I closed my eyes. I immediately thought of the movie Coming to America and Eddie Murphy. No, Trading Places and Eddie Murphy getting them like giving him money when he was like homeless for some reason. And I just had like a smirk on my face. And then an urge to sing. I had an urge to sing the little ditty that he had. Let's see. All right, Mary says, yeah, I said to myself, I feel pure joy and invite them to go out and eat my treat. Carly says, this is probably an odd response, but shame showed up because my husband and I are blessed with great jobs, and somehow shame showed up because some people, friends, yeah, that's real. That's real, especially when we slow down to really interpret the question. Raul said joy, appreciation, give that money to a homeless person around my neighborhood. Nice, nice, pay it forward. Really well done, y'all. Really well done. And so, yeah, what we just did here, quite frankly, it is somatic experiencing. We noticed how the emotion showed up in our body first. We then connected it cognitively to the emotion that we could do our best. And the more you practice this, especially with yourself, you get more accurate. But even the more you become attuned to that connection between body and emotion, is the more you notice it in others and can kind of, without even saying it, um, kind of turn your attention to support. But even in storytelling, we can sometimes like think about that physical sensation we want to convey and have a different interpretation, even in a pitch, even if it's strategy, even if it's a media plan, How's this a media plan supposed to feel when it lands? Um, so definitely play with that. I see I have a hand up, Luis.
I was just gonna say I read Mary Rankin's beautiful message, and it made me feel a little shame because automatically just thought about feeding myself and she thought about feeding others. So I thought that was very, deep and very, beautiful of her, and maybe something I can work on in myself.
Nice. Nice. And I think empathy, part of the reason why I ended up on empathy and innovation is because people talk about toxic empathy, right? Some people do. Probably not in this room. But I think to feel, and I think it's because when some people feel a little bit of shame or feel sympathy, they think it's just a negative thing. But what I just witnessed is how you powerfully took uh, a challenging feeling and took a learning from it and what you want to do with it, right? So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you, you all. I guess the last thing I'll say is this is part of my morning routine. I check in with what's going on in my body and I write about it, no prompts necessary. It helps me to show up that day, so I offer that to you all. And if you want to, again, take this work from a mindfulness place to a strategic and tactical place, we created a tool called the Empathy and Innovation Download that you can grab by just scanning that QR code, or you could just go to curiositylab.io and it's there. And then a couple other goodies to leave you all with. If you like this journaling practice, if you can see the potential for supporting your healing, your self-awareness, and you want to keep going with it, I released a journal called the Abundance Journal, and the publisher has it deep discounted on Amazon. So I think go grab it, gift it. And then we're doing a workshop on the 13th where we're going to introduce at least 2 other facilitation styles that use the Actually Curious card game, which is a really nice way to think about fostering connection this holiday season, or bringing some cool new ways of connecting with to your teams and exploring empathy to your teams. So definitely grab that link. We just published it. You'll be the first ones to sign up. And yeah, thank you for the opportunity to come and share my tools with you all. Tomorrow, we have another workshop in which we're going to use real life work-related situations as our stimulus, as our material for exploring empathy. So I'll throw it back to you.
Yes, thank you, Michael. I kind of want to underline the fact that the session wasn't just about feelings, it was about presence and clarity, and how emotional awareness can really be something that we apply to how we show up for our work, for the people around us, and even for ourselves. I want to bring up another poll based on the insights that Michael has shared with us. If you all can take a second to let us know, how are you going to start making more space for emotions in your work? If we can please have responses from everyone in the room.
Can I select every answers?
Pick one.
All of the above.
Nice. I feel a lot of joy. I felt some tingling down my arms hearing that. That's the kind of reaction I like to hear.
Okay. Couple more people need to respond, please. Let's get 6 more people.
It's good. I count over 50, what do we, let's see, 23,
4 more people.
33, 36.
Yeah,
Let's
we have
go,
36 responses.
go.
Let's get to 40. If you have not responded, please just let us know what action you will be taking. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's really about whatever insights or shift resonates the most with you. There we go. Thank you so much. If you have not responded, feel free to do so. So this was not the end. We still have one more session left in TBWAU. And as Michael said, tomorrow we are going into the table gathering. That will be a continuation of the work we did today, but applying the lessons and the practical tools that we gained from Michael into work-based scenarios. So please sign up for that. The link is in the chat. I want to say thank you, Michael, for empowering us with the tools to show up more fully for ourselves and for each other. And of course, to our beautiful collective, I want to say thank you for showing up, for engaging, for sharing. You are the reason that this community thrives. So we'll see you tomorrow. And stay tuned to our social media for the details of the season finale. Until next time, keep learning, keep choosing, and keep showing up. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.